What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York again, back at the Gramercy Theater for the Satyricon show, and today we return with the world's greatest wedding band, Goatwhore. That's how I've always referred to you guys now.
It's really good, man. It's actually really good. That was an amazing thing. I mean, how many bands on this kind of like that do this style of music say they play like this wedding reception in Brooklyn, of all places?
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yep. It's just a shame that I don't remember half of it.
No, I'm sure a lot of people don't remember, but there was a lot of pictures and stuff from it, and so
yeah,
it kind of exposes a lot of things that went on.
Exactly. Definitely not a regular show.
Yeah, definitely not, but definitely a unique thing. I have to put that on the level of like when we did that boat
with
thing with
I Hate God
on the Hudson. It's like one of those kind of like level
weird
things when you go back and you're like, what's the coolest things y'all ever did? It's just like played this wedding reception in Brooklyn, and we played on the boat with I Hate God on the Hudson, so.
Yeah, I'm surprised that boat didn't capsize.
I mean, yeah, that was a really good show. That was because it was I Hate God, Pig Destroyer, us, and Strong Intention, wasn't it?
Maybe. I don't think, what year was that?
The year, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
because it was a while ago. I just moved to the city 6 years ago, so.
Yeah. But it was good. I didn't, actually, too, I saw recently, I think Hatebreed did something
I was on that boat.
Yeah. Was it the same kind of boat? Like
I forgot the cruise lines, but if it took off from the East River, but you were on the Hudson, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
This was on the East River, so I don't know if it was the same exact boat.
But still same kind of concept.
Yeah. But it's fair to say you guys have had a very busy 2018. Speaking of boat, you were on 70K again this year.
Yeah.
And, then you head to Europe with Sepultura, Obscura, and Fit for an Autopsy. And now you're on this tour with Satyricon. It's had to have been a crazy year so far.
Oh, yeah, it's been really good. The European run with Sepultura and Fit for an Autopsy and Obscura, it was really good. The whole outcome of it was awesome. Just great shows every night, packed crowds, 800, 1,500 people. Some of them even sold out beyond that. And it's kind of weird because you look at the band sometimes and you think, oh, we don't know. It's going to be, maybe the crowd will be more lenient towards this or this. But the crowd was into like all the acts on the tour, which was awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, every band on that bill's pretty brutal. So
yeah, definitely, and everybody kind of offers something different within the extreme metal genre too. So.
Absolutely, and oh yeah, you're saying.
And then we got added onto this thing like a month before it started. Because of certain circumstances, but we don't have to really discuss that.
No, we don't. And but it's fair to say that like every tour, like the last time I saw you guys was with Venom Inc., and then you did that tour with Sepultura, and now you're with Satyricon, which is more of a black metal sort of audience. Last tour was kind of death metal. Have you noticed maybe like a different type of audience?
No, I definitely do, think that for sure. Like within metal in general, like especially doing tours like that Sepultura tour, and then doing even like from Europe to the States, they are different sorts of metal crowds.
Absolutely.
From like death metal to black metal to people that are kind of like well-rounded, like kind of into a bunch of different kind of extreme metals and stuff like that. So there are variations because you'll do tours and you kind of remember faces sometimes, and then you'll play a different kind of package, and then you don't necessarily see those same faces, and you see a bunch of newer faces. So you see a lot of variance, which is good too.
Play to new people.
It really shows you too how wide and diverse the metal scene is too.
Absolutely.
Like because of doing these tours and then seeing fresh faces, you're like, wow, it just keeps expanding and expanding, and there's just all these different paths for it.
Absolutely. And I mean, you guys definitely have like a diversity in your music that could appeal to all those different audiences.
Yeah, we have a little, mixture going on there,
Yeah.
We're not full one. We have a lot, we mix up like a little black metal, death metal, a little old kind of punk, hardcore-ish type stuff. So everything's kind of like mixed in there. So it kind of helps with us going out with different kind of acts within that.
Absolutely. Now, being that you're in kind of like, it's been about a year since the release of your last record.
Actually, June 23rd.
June 23rd, so almost a year.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, all right. But what I was going to ask is, because now that it is later, because last time we spoke was September.
Yeah.
But do you now like add newer songs to your set list?
Oh yeah. We do we've been shifting like songs from Vengeful Ascension in and out of the set. Like on this tour, we added a couple more to it, and we actually pulled like an old song from Funeral Dirge out and added it to the set too.
Wow.
So we did a few little changes here and there, but definitely going through like the cycle of all the songs on Vengeful Ascension and just kind of shift them all in and out.
Absolutely. And this is like the 7th Goatwhore record or something like that, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Somewhere like that.
All right, we'll check Wikipedia.
You start losing, I guess you lose track on the third one.
Yeah, but I'd imagine with each record you put out, does it get kind of harder to put like a set list together?
Well, yeah, you just get kind of picky about it. But then, too, you start to look back at, like, how, like our first 2 records weren't really, like, back then being on Rotten Records and everything, it didn't get a lot of flow out. So a lot of people aren't familiar with it, as much. Like, people now are more familiar with the newest records.
Of course.
But we like to pull in older stuff because we definitely have the older fans as well that come out to the shows. So, yeah, sometimes you're like, all right, so we got a 30-minute set tonight. You're like, holy shit, how are we going to switch all of this in and out, or 45, and then we do, like, if we have an hour, we're like, oh, this is gonna be great because then we can do this and this and this.
Have time for a deep cut or 2 in there, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Now, being that it is, we'll just say that it's the 7th record. But being that it is the 7th record around there, has every album that you put out been like its own different experience, or at this point in your career, you guys kind of know what to do and you have a formula that you work with?
We have a formula, but I still think within that there's like a growth and evolution with things, because people definitely evolve, with writing and the skills of writing and working together to create a song. So I think through the duration of it, you kind of see that, and you see that evolution. And I think that's how Goatwhore has come into its own thing. Like, if we go back to the first record, you could really pull our influences from, like, Celtic Frost and things like that. It's just like you heard it a lot, like, to the point. But now I think it's coming more into its own thing.
Absolutely.
Like, a lot of bands start with all these influences, and they kind of have parts that you're like, oh, I can pick that out. But then as they go along, they evolve and they grow up a little bit more, and they get a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
And also, too, like, I think within bands a lot, too, like, for us, we'll be together and we subconsciously kind of get influenced by each other. Like, maybe this guy's listening to this, but you're not listening to it, and you're listening to something else, but you're in the van listening to it, and then they're like, oh, wow, I never heard this. So, and then it kind of, like, starts to blend, like, the influences and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you mentioned that because, I mean, I've always thought that Goatwhore, while you definitely have a sound, I could listen to any song by you guys and know that it's you, but it seems like you guys really don't fear trying new things in music, right?
No, but we don't really take, like, huge steps. We just kind of sit in a terrain of things that we were into, like old traditional metal and early death metal, thrash, black metal, things like that, and we just kind of do that grain. But that's stuff we all like. It's stuff that we're all into, and when we work on things, we always work on stuff with the element of playing it live. Like, if we can get up there and play it live, it's going to be something that, we're into. We don't want to just stick something on a record that we're not going to play live, in a sense.
There's definitely have been records that come out in the past where you could tell that they were trying so hard to make a full-length record, but then you kind of have these, like,
and then they just kind of
songs.
throw things together, I mean, we've had parts where we've put together songs fully, and then at the end of getting it all together, it was like, it just doesn't have the right flow, and we tear it apart, and pieces of it go in other songs and stuff like that. So, or sometimes it gets tossed, and 4 years later we're working on a new record, and we take it apart then and do something with it. Like, we don't get rid of any riffs, old riffs.
Really?
Nothing, no. So, like, even on Vengeful Ascension, you can have a riff that was written 10 years ago,
Really?
So we keep everything, and we keep stock of everything, recordings of it and all that stuff. And
that's a
in case
good way.
we need it. Because the thing is like, for me personally, it's like you listen to a song, and sometimes there might be 2 halves of a song, and it needs something in the center that connects it. And sometimes you don't always get it, but there's that riff that just fits in right, and it blends everything together and makes it fit. And it could be a riff that was old, that it just got overlooked, it just didn't fit at the time. So you pull it out of the box, and boom.
Is there any song on the new record in particular that utilized some old?
I'm sure there is. I'd have to kind of go through really and kind of pick, But Sammy just he writes a lot of riffs, and just records them down. Like, back in the day, we used to have a little jam box, and he'd just be like, hit record and play that riff. Okay, hit record, play that riff, and just bundled up. And then, with the new age of computers and everything, we started to drop things into a computer and stuff like that and keep them all. And then there we can kind of, like, lay them out and kind of get an idea. And, like, he'll put together songs and then send them to everybody, like a little skeleton, and then we'll kind of go back and forth about it and stuff like that. So
that's really
but sometimes you'll be sitting there, we'll be sitting in a room, and then, like, somebody will go, remember this riff? And we will listen. Because we'll go back and listen to, like, all the older riffs too, like when we're sitting there writing. Because you get that wall sometimes, and you feel like you're at a point where you can't go. And he's like, wait, this riff right here, I think it'll go. And then it fits in, and bam, it's done.
Thank God
So,
you saved
you
all
know
the
what?
riffs.
But the way you have to think about it is that riffs, no matter what, riffs are timeless in a sense, because if you go back, all the old stuff that we listened to, it didn't get old. You didn't toss it away.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So why would you toss riffs you wrote 20 years ago when they could have some kind of element even now?
Absolutely. And like I think the idea of riffs are like so like underestimated. Like, you know, one of my personal favorite bands is Fear Factory, and you hear those riffs in like Demanufacture or something like that. That's like a signature thing as much as the vocals or the drums or anything else in that band was. And I think it works the same for you guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's important. I mean, I think the basis of heavy metal is the riff, you know. I mean, everything else builds, of course. Nothing against anything else in it, but definitely that's like the starting structure, and that's the whole idea behind it, you know, the idea of heavy metal, you know, the metallic guitar sound or whatever.
Well,
And so just from there, then everything else kind of falls into perspective. You know, the drums come in and they have I mean, drum parts can change a riff completely too, you know.
Absolutely.
So once the riff is handed in there and then the drummer goes in, that changes it to a whole different other level.
Absolutely.
So it's like each little level that comes in after that riff is written changes it in various ways. And it can go numerous directions, you know, depending on the drummer, your bass player, your vocalist, you know, everything from that point.
Yeah, it's like you could write whatever you want, take it in any direction you want, and write it as long as you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, in a way, you kind of just answered my next and final question, actually. But because you guys are very riff-driven, does that, like, does everything's pretty much built off the guitars, right? It's not like you maybe hear a drum beat and you write according to that, or they hear a vocal concept.
I think sometimes, you know, Sammy and Zach will sit, and, you know, Zach will have like a drum idea, and then he'll try to work around it in some sort of way, but a lot of it is like riff driven for sure.
Okay.
You know, but every now and then you'll have that variation of things. Like when we did that song, Colder Earth, Consumed in Dying Flesh, it's like it had a really slow, drawn out beginning.
Yeah.
And then it went to more like an upbeat kind of part near the end. It was kind of like we were sitting around and we were discussing like doing something a little different and more like traditional like death metal kind of approach, like more that like bolt throw or hail of bullets kind of angle.
Can't go wrong with those guys.
You know, it's like, so every now and then there's like something different that's kind of tossed onto the table, and where somebody will have to shift something that they're doing and kind of think a little differently about how they're going to approach it.
Yeah.
You know,
very good.
So it's good because like we communicate in that fashion to where I guess it pushes the other person a little further each time. So maybe that's the growth too within that, like someone offering, well, why don't we try this and see what it is? You know, I mean, why not just try it? Because if you don't like it, you don't really have to do it. So.
Exactly, but you got to try new things, otherwise you don't evolve.
So, but so we kind of do that, and we stick in that terrain. You know, that's the things that we all grew up on, and you know, a lot of us still listen to all that kind of stuff.
Which is great.
Yeah.
So before we go, is there any other tour now that, you know, Vengeful Ascension's almost a year old and you guys have been on a touring spree for 2018?
Yeah, I mean, we got at the end of July through August, we're going to do some festival stuff in Europe. And
it's festival season.
And the off days in between, we got shows with like Dying Fetus, Toxic Holocaust, Carnifex, and Venom Prison. And so, because it's like you do festivals out there, and all these bands are doing festivals, and then there's like 5 days in between each festival or something, and you're driving across Europe, and so you tag up, you kind of tag team with a bunch of other bands, and you do little shows in between around.
Yeah, well, it was like that for 70K, I noticed, because Goatwhore, Sepultura, and Obscura were on the boat together.
Yeah.
And you guys went to Europe together, then like I noticed like a lot of other bands, like Enslaved was on the boat. And
you try to kind of get little things together like that. So you do that when you do like the festival circuit during the summer in Europe, and you try to jump on with bands here and there to kind of fill in the gaps and everything like that.
Absolutely.
And so we do that, and then at the end of September through October, we have the Arch Enemy run.
Oh yeah, which I can't wait.
Which is pretty unique, actually.
Yeah.
Something pretty different for us, I think.
Yeah, I might go out to Long Island for that show.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting, man.
Any more weddings? Or?
I don't know, man. Give us a call and see. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll use this to promote that. The Goatwhore wedding service. But Ben,
I don't know if you could. The only thing is you got to be able to top that one, because during the set, the bride started the pit numerous times.
Yeah. I'm never moshing with her again, I can tell you that much. Yeah.
Yep. I was like going, holy shit. I was like in the middle after the song. I was just like, this is another thing, addition to life. I've never seen the bride is on the floor and she's just smashing people and keeping everything going for this whole event.
Yeah, I've moshed with her a couple of times. I'm not doing it again. You
Yeah.
heard that, Kelsey?
Yeah, tough cookie, man.
Yeah, but Ben, it's always a
No
pleasure
problem.
talking to you, man. I
Thank
was
you
really
very
happy
much.
to see you guys on the tour today.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Everybody, we are back with Ben of Goatwhore. If you haven't already, be sure to pick up their latest record, Vengeful Ascension. It is absolutely brutal. Catch them on all their festivals in Europe, their North American tour with Arch Enemy.
And what record number is it?
7. 7, I believe. We'll just say 6 because it's more metal.
No, we could just say we could take the first 2 off and then we say it's 5 or something like that.
All right.
If you say it's 7.
Yeah, all right. That's fine. We'll check Wikipedia later.
No, we don't have to. Wikipedia lies too, man.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need false information. We can go work over to the merch area and look and make sure.
Yeah, I was about to say, why your merch booth is 10 feet from us. But thanks again, Ben. And also book them at your wedding. They need more weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. But we'll see you next time on Heavy New York, everyone.